Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of Extra Serving, a podcast by Nation's Restaurant News. I am your host, Holly Petre. Today we're going to be talking about earnings again. Since last week, another slew of brands have reported, and we have to talk about them. Wendy's and Dutch Bros are both pushing their day parts. Noodles Company is lowering prices. Krispy Kreme is working on efficiencies, and Cheesecake Factory is debuting a rewards program. What is the main message of earnings? We will discuss. Also, we have a winner for our Taco Showdown. We'll be talking about the Columbus, Ohio-based brand that won our largest showdown yet and its place in the industry. Finally, we'll be talking about Wendy's new partnership with Google for its AI drive-thru. We've seen many iterations of AI at the drive-thru, but partnering with Google is a step further into AI than we've seen before. What does it mean for Wendy's that it's so invested in tech? Is it another instance of jumping too far into a trend like the Reef deal? We will talk about it. This week's guest is Sharif Mityas, CEO of Brix Holdings. And now it's time to introduce my lovely co-hosts.
I am Sam Oches, Editor-in-Chief of Nation's Restaurant News.
And I'm Leigh Zinsmeister, Managing Editor of Nation's Restaurant News.
Hello, guys. I'm back this week. My camera's working.
Yay!
Welcome back, Holly. You were so sad that we didn't talk about you last week. Were you hoping that we were going to share some dirt on you and you weren't on the show?
I thought you'd be like, hey, our host of 300 episodes isn't on. Let's say something about it.
We just wanted to keep our audience on their feet. See what they had to say about you. And, ooh, the comments. Ooh.
They were brutal. I saw them all. The emails I got in return were just like, where were you? It's thousands of them.
No, it was more like, wow, Extra Serving is so much better this week.
Maybe. I edited it.
You should do that more often.
I know it wasn't.
Yeah. It was still fine, but welcome back, Holly, I guess.
I'm glad to have the pressure off of carrying the conversation. It's harder than it looks.
Oh, I love it. It's my favorite part of the day.
Yeah, I know it is.
I just get to talk and talk and talk. It's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
For you.
Oh, your eyebrows are going crazy right now, Sam. To our viewers.
It's my sinister eyebrows, remember?
Yes, you do have very sinister eyebrows, but you also have a nice haircut.
Thank you. This is my NRA show haircut. Preparing for Chicago next week. If you're listening and you're coming, come say hello to us. I believe our booth is 1531. Am I getting that right? Holly, you
that sounds right.
Yeah, 1531. Come say hello. Meet all of us in person. Maybe be on a podcast. We're going to have our podcast equipment there.
We will, and I believe we're next to the French fries. So,
what French fries?
The really good French fries from last year. I can't remember the brand, but they're like in little baggies. Like they're fresh made French fries. And I believe we're right in that booth.
I was told we're actually in where the French fry booth was last year, like that we have that booth.
Do you think it's going to still smell like fries?
But I don't know if the fries are in the same spot, is what I'm saying. Because
we're sharing a booth with the French fries? Is that what's happening?
I hope so.
I'd be okay with it, honestly.
If we were sharing a booth with French fries, I would be totally fine. I just eat them all day. Because it's so hard to get food at the show. Like, you have to eat at every booth. You can't just, like, eat normal food.
And the first thing you should always do at the NRA show, if you're a newbie and going this year, is scope out the food around you. You got to do a few laps, walk around, see what's near you. Because for 4 days, that's going to be your meals. Because, I mean, at least for us, we don't have a ton of time. So somebody's got to run and grab a couple bags of fries for everybody else or whatever it is. So first thing you got to do.
I thought you were going to say the first thing you got to do is go to the Broaster booth because they always have some of the best food.
It's true.
I
do recommend that food.
By the way, that was just a...
I'm like, are we shilling for Broaster now?
Yeah, it is. Well, and to their credit is that they always provide very large portions, right? So you can get an actual meal there versus some booths are like, here's a teeny tiny little bite-sized nugget. So anyway, not to say that we strategize this a lot, but suffice to say, this might be, I think, my either 13th or 14th NRA show. 13th, maybe, NRA show? Yeah, which is just too many NRA shows. But I always have a good time. It's nice to see everybody and lots of, good food to eat. And parties to attend. So all of that is to say, if you're listening, you're going to be in Chicago at the NRA show, please say hello, email us, tell us you're coming, drop by the booth, we'll hang out. It'll be a whole thing.
We'll hang out with you. It's just going to be like a chill experience.
Don't let Sam's haircut go to waste.
Yeah, come on. I did this for you.
It looks very nice, listeners.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for the compliment.
I know you kind of look like a sailor today.
Oh, because of my blue and white striped shirt?
Yeah, you look like a nice sailor with a clean haircut, like you're going off to your ship.
Thanks, Holly. I'm going to sail to Chicago. I'm not flying to Chicago this year. I'm going to sail up the mighty Scioto to Lake Erie and take her around to...
I was going to say, you could probably sail most of the way there. If you can get up to Cleveland, then you can...
I don't know if the Scioto and Olentangy, which are here in Columbus, I don't think those go up to Erie. So I'll start at Lake Erie.
Okay.
I don't know the rivers besides Cuyahoga, so...
Oh, yeah.
Should we keep naming Ohio rivers? Is that what we're doing here?
Oh, that was fun. I grew up on the mighty Hocking. Shall we continue?
What a podcast has this turned into?
Let's talk about restaurants. We're just going to spiral if we don't. Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about earnings. There was a lot of earnings this week. I know you guys talked at length about earnings last week with Alicia because she is the master. But now I'm stuck with you two, so we got to talk about earnings.
Thanks?
What?
We know a few things too. I think we'll do okay.
You know a lot, actually. But Alicia knows an exceptional amount. We must
She's very
that.
smart.
Okay, well, Alicia's not here, so.
Yeah.
So she'll never hear these compliments ever.
She's not a listener.
She's not a listener, no. Actually, she is. She tells me about it.
Yeah, she is. Hi, Alicia.
Hi, Alicia.
All right, let's get into it.
All right, let's get into earnings. So we saw earnings from Sam's favorite brand, Wendy's. We saw Dutch Bros, Krispy Kreme, Noodles Company, Cheesecake Factory, and they all kind of talked about different things. But what do we think was like a big message of earnings? I mean, the first round of earnings, it was really all about traffic. Traffic is increasing across brands in a way that we weren't really expecting. So what is kind of the message of the second round of earnings? It kind of seems like efficiency may be the message, if I'm reading correctly.
I think one way I would put it is that restaurants are playing more offense than defense. They spent a couple years playing defense, responding to the conditions of the market and, of course, the world. And now it feels like with a lot of the threats subsiding, they're able to play offense. And so obviously it's not like everything's perfect. We're still dealing with inflation. But, just a couple of examples. Noodles Company is talking about lowering prices. We actually, suggested last week, I think it was, that maybe this could happen because now that inflation is cooling and traffic is up, restaurants can start to maybe bring their prices back down, or there was some brands are talking about discounting, and that's another tool that they have, another marketing tool that they have that they have not been using with with the conditions being as they are lately. So it just feels like now that traffic is up again, sales across the board continue to be really impressive. You just see some of that offense happening. So again, Noodles Company lowering prices. Wendy's, I think we'll talk about this in a little bit, but Wendy's is testing out some new technology. They also talked about trying some things with dayparts. They want to really shore up breakfast and late night. Cheesecake Factory is going to roll out a loyalty program. And I'm sure Leanne has more to say about all that too. But again, these are just things that are like strategic things that I think they can actually, kick some tires on some new ideas and roll out some new menu items or programs in ways that they couldn't before, because before they were just trying to respond to what was happening around us.
I think you both have great points, and I think those two things really tie together. So we are talking a lot about efficiency in the industry right now. The next issue of NRN has a lot of great stuff on efficiency in the industry right now. I'm sure we'll be talking about it a lot over the next few weeks. And I think because restaurants have been focused on becoming more efficient across the board, it's created a lot of space for them to have room to play and to try out new things and to see what might work in this kind of environment. And, for all the talk about the economy, we're really not seeing a lot of the negative impact on the restaurant industry. And so they've created all these efficiencies, and now they have space to try new technologies, to try new menu items, to launch loyalty programs. Everybody's launching a loyalty program right now. Including, like, as Sam said, Cheesecake Factory. Loyalty is something we talk about a lot when it comes to the QSRs. But we're starting to see it in full service brands too, taking some of those things that work at limited service brands and bringing them over and seeing what works. Another trend that I've seen this whole earnings season is just so much optimism. And some of it goes along with that economic talk that we were talking about. But I mean, even like take Dutch Bros for an example, their same store sales were down a little tiny bit, like 2% this past quarter. And they are still just like, no big deal, brush it off, move on. We're going to be everyone's number one favorite daily coffee shop. And honestly, when it comes to Dutch Bros, I believe it, because 10 years ago, I lived in Arizona and they were everyone's daily coffee shop there. And so now to see the whole country and the whole industry talking about it, like, yeah, so even the brands that aren't maybe seeing these huge numbers that we're talking about at like Yum, they're still really encouraged by the state of the industry and where things are going. And I agree with Sam that it's really fun to just see companies trying new things now. Almost for the fun of it, instead of like, oh no, if we don't figure something out, this whole thing's gonna tank. Right. Now it's like, what can we do? This looks fun. Let's try it. This looks interesting. Let's see how we can get customers to stick around.
It's interesting. I mean, Dutch Bros as an example, it's funny because their same store sales were down, like you said, Leanne. But the reason is almost because they are opening too many locations, because they blamed it essentially on their fortressing strategy. So essentially they're filling out markets, which are spreading some dollars around a little bit more, which is why the same store sales are down. But broadly speaking, they're still doing very, very well. And I mean, I couldn't believe, they want to get to 4,000 locations in 10 to 15 years. And I mean, I think they've doubled in size in just the last 2 or 3. So talk about just a total rocket ship. But yeah, I mean, to your point, Leanne, we do see optimism, and you didn't see a lot of companies in the last couple of years talking about these grand aspirations for growth, because nobody knew. Nobody had a clue what was around the corner, and growth was really stymied, not just because of, traffic and sales issues, but because of it's hard to build restaurants right now because of the supply chain issues. And so in general, all these things seem to be subsiding, so that, yes, there is some optimism. And I think companies that are confident in their growth plans are really starting to ratchet up those growth plans now, because the economy and conditions are ripe for it.
One thing that I found really interesting was Krispy Kreme. They are moving sort of away from their brick and mortar stores. They still have brick and mortar stores, but they're moving a lot of their underperforming stores into these hubs where they become sort of the go-to donut for when you're shopping, for when you're at McDonald's, for when you're like, they're becoming this donut. They're trying to become this donut of choice in instances when you may not have another donut around. So you may just be like walking around a shopping mall and there's just a donut there and you're like, this is great, let me get a donut, versus like driving to a store and saying I'm going for a special occasion to get a donut. And so they're trying to turn more into this kind of company, and I found that really interesting. Joanna and I actually talked about it on an upcoming episode of First Bite, and how they're doing this new hub and spoke model, and how it's not all about the hot and fresh light anymore. It's more about like becoming this brand of choice, which I thought was similar to Dutch Bros, that they want to become this brand of choice, and that a lot of brands are more trying to move up in the space. Just like you were saying, Sam, they're trying to really focus on becoming something more than they were before versus just trying to get by.
Yeah, Krispy Kreme's a good example too of, we've talked about this concept of expansion in the last year or two, and the ways in which expansion has completely changed, because it's no longer, I've got to go open brick and mortar restaurants. Of course, ghost kitchens, virtual brands, that really shook up what expansion could look like. But also in general, Subway, as an example, did vending machines. I think it was last year. And I don't know if that strategy is going to continue, but this concept of it's no longer where can I get a good site selection, A+ real estate at the corner of Main and Main, and build brick and mortar and bring all the people to me anymore. It is going out to the people, and how do you become more accessible where the people already are and going about their lives. And so something like Krispy Kreme, which is what you're talking about, Holly, is that's more their strategy of having points of access, not just this centralized brick and mortar location. It makes a lot of sense for somebody like them. It makes a lot of sense for a coffee brand. Cookies are one, I think, that Krispy Kreme has been compared to, like the Insomnia cookies of the world, because I don't want to call it a simple product, but it's certainly not a full meal, burgers and fries and a drink. And so you can play around a little bit more with how do we strategically get this into points of access that don't come with the overhead costs, $500,000, $1 million to build out a restaurant. And it makes lots of sense. And with digital, of course, making it more easy than ever to just, boop on your phone and donut ends up in front of you, then sure, why not pursue that strategy?
Well, it's interesting you brought that up, because our interview today with Sharif Mityas that Ron Ruggles did, they talk about their new pizza jukebox. And that's going to be in Walmart stores. So that was super interesting. They make a large pizza in 3 minutes. So and it's a robot that does it. So I know they're talking about like music for it and everything, and but it's so interesting because a small pizza takes 2 minutes to make in this machine, and so you're just waiting for 2 minutes to get a pizza exactly made to your specifications, how much sauce you want, what toppings, how you want it cooked. It's all of that stuff is just done by a robot, but they're putting it in Walmart stores. They're not doing it in a brick and mortar.
Well, and talk about the intersection of everything we just said. I mean, you've got efficiencies there because a robot's doing your work. You don't have to hire someone. It happens really quickly. It gets in front of people right where they are. And it's something new and exciting that you can try to see if it sticks.
Yeah. But two caveats, Wendy's pulling the plug on Reef partnership. And Brinker, Alicia just wrote about Brinker and in their efficiencies, they are nixing a lot of those bells and whistles like virtual brands and their delivery carryout unit, which, I think the main message here is not for everybody, right? It could be a pizza, a donut, a coffee, but maybe not, a company that is more a full service company like Brinker or Wendy's that is more of a full meal that you're hoping to order. So it is interesting to see because, I do think all these things point to efficiencies and creative ways to expand. But we're also seeing some reactions to all of the new technologies that came out in the last couple of years. We're seeing some course correction from companies out there that are realizing, okay, maybe not for us.
I think that's a good segue to talking about Wendy's. I know I'm kind of skipping around on our list, but I think that's a good segue to talk about Wendy's new. You guys are always prepared. That's a good segue into the Wendy's AI drive-thru because, part of the thing that I mentioned in my intro is that, maybe this is similar to the Reef partnership in terms of them jumping really hard into one technology and not really having the payout in the next year or two. So they partnered with Google for their new drive-thru AI, which is interesting. And I think it's really diving headfirst into AI versus going, a lot of brands are moseying on into AI. And I think partnering with Google is really diving headfirst. My nice analogy there.
Moseying.
So I mean, what that turn of phrase.
Yeah, it was good.
So what do you guys think about this new partnership? Do you think it's reminiscent of Reef? Do you think it's a step forward in the right direction? I mean, there's a lot of ways we can kind of go with this conversation.
Yeah, Leanne has no thoughts because she just started sending an email. But yeah, I heard you typing. I hear you typing over there.
I'm pulling up an older story about Wendy's and Google so I can talk about their long-lasting relationship and how it's not just a brand new thing that they came up with this
All
week.
right, Leanne, what did you pull up? What do you see? Go ahead.
The conversation just triggered this in my head because I was I feel like Wendy's and Google have actually been working together for a while, and it's true. Really, for the last few years, but especially starting in 2021, Wendy's and Google have worked together on a variety of different tech things. And I'm not sure where any of this led because we didn't talk about it much after it launched, but in the fall of 2021, they partnered. Wendy's was going to use the Google Cloud to somehow facilitate what they were calling frictionless dining experiences. There were a lot of buzzwords back in 2021. I don't know if you remember that.
Remember what I just said about course correction? Yeah.
My point here is that Wendy's and Google have been partners for a long time. And so I think right now, when a lot of companies are moving into AI, it makes sense for Wendy's to take advantage of an existing partnership that it has with a tech company. Because to your point, Holly, a lot of companies are working on AI. We've heard about some other AI drive-thrus, but to my knowledge, no restaurant company has really, talking specifically about the drive-thrus, has really like cracked the code on that yet. We've talked about it for a while. We've talked about companies that facilitate that specifically. We've talked about brands that are testing it out in 1 or 2 locations, but we haven't seen any of the really big brands launch something like that system-wide. And so I am curious to keep an eye on the Wendy's and Google partnership because I think those are combined. Those are like the 2 biggest names we've heard together in this space. And to see if like they can be the ones to figure it out because I'm fascinated by the drive-through AI thing, but I'm always left with the same questions, which is like, is it really going to work often enough to make it worth any money you save on labor?
Well, I have really great news, which is that their test, Wendy's test of this is going to be in Columbus. So I can go check it out firsthand. I will report back to all of you listening and tell you how it's going. Yes, America's test case study, test kitchen Columbus. What can we say? We're awesome. So the moseying part, right? Like getting back to what Holly said about moseying, you're right because McDonald's and some others they bought companies, AI companies, but a lot of the early work in drive-through AI was around the menu board, and so having these dynamic menu boards that could change according to sales and weather and what have you. And that was great and continues to be a great opportunity for restaurants to go in that direction because you can really streamline and make more efficient your drive-through through your menu board, your digital menu board. What Wendy's is doing is, bringing AI into the ordering process. And we've all seen this coming. We knew this was coming, but Wendy's is the biggest now to do it, to officially do this. Because I think Del Taco is one that has been testing it. CKE has been testing this too. Wendy's is the biggest chain now to really go out and say, okay, we're going to put AI in the speaker here. And I think that's a big deal because, one of the reasons why the menu board was a place that companies started with their AI testing is because the drive-through employee has always been so critical to QSR success. When you consider that QSRs do about 70% of their business through the drive-through, that puts the person in the drive-through window as being, for 70% of the people, that is their core interaction with this restaurant. And so QSRs are very hesitant to replace that person because it's such a critical part of the experience. And that position tends to be, the most important role in that restaurant, often highest paid outside the manager, because you want that person to bring it if 70% of your customers are coming to you. So now you're not replacing this person necessarily because that person will still be there to hand your food out the window. Although, by all means, that could be automated at some point in the future too.
Imagine a robot arm.
You're not interacting. Yeah, I think it could work. I felt like the claw just then.
That's what I was thinking too.
Word.
Don't need to go into how many dollars I've wasted on claw machines because my kids see them and go, I want to do that. Anyway, thankfully they're still usually coin operated and I don't carry coins. I'm digressing. The AI speaker box, however, is such a great opportunity to improve speed and accuracy in the drive-through because you take out human error. So an AI is going to be probably now and certainly in the future will be much better at getting your order accurate. And there will be it'll be much better at listening to the person giving the order and going quickly and asking the right questions versus somebody who could be stumbling through it or forgetting to upsell or whatever. So it makes a lot of sense in the speaker box to automate that, to bring in AI, but you can still bring in the human component in the window with the person handing them the food. So anyway, all to say, if the all drive-thrus are going this direction, this is going to happen. AI is going to improve the drive-thru at every QSR in the country eventually. So we're just kind of seeing that first tip over into the major chains do that.
I'm curious to see how it's going to work because I imagine that it's kind of hard to hear a lot of people. I mean, some people have accents, some people I'm thinking a southern accent versus like a northern accent, for example. Like maybe an AI has to be trained on that. Like I'm not really sure how any of that works because words sound very different with each person. Like even the three of us have different accents. I think about that a lot when I think about AI.
About like understanding customers with different accents, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Like are they trained to like know exactly like what each word is based on somebody's twang?
Yes. I think so. In short, I mean, you consider that this AI, all the chatbots and ChatGPT and whatever out there, is it essentially getting infinitely smarter every day as it collects information and it learns. All it needs to do is, engage with those accents, a handful of times, I think, until it learns, and then it just has that information. But yeah, and frankly, it's going to be a lot better than a person trying to understand. So say you have an immigrant that is going through the drive-thru and has a heavy accent from their native language, and it's an American-born person who does not understand that accent in the window. An AI is going to be better at understanding it. So all around, it stands to improve this. But those are all factors that you have to believe the AI companies and Google is thinking about, because you certainly don't want that disastrous TikTok of, we've talked about the TikToks of the robots dropping plates of, glassware onto the floor and stuff. We can't have the AI speaker box not understanding somebody because they have an accent, because that's just a disaster waiting to happen. So yeah, they naturally have to think about these things.
Well, that was like the first thing I thought about is like a picture of TikTok of something just being like, the AI doesn't understand me. Though I imagine it'd be clearer because often those microphones that they use at the drive-thrus, from what I've seen in videos, are not great.
From what I've seen in videos, somebody who has so little drive-thru experience that she has to watch it on video. Gosh.
According to the internet, when I Googled what's a drive-thru.
Oh, I'm sorry, Holly. Should we have explained that to you to start this conversation? What the drive-thru is all about?
We should all go to a drive-thru in Chicago.
We should record it and put it on social media. Holly going
goes
through a
drive-thru. Yeah, I'm in.
I'm so down.
Portillo's drive-thru.
We should see if they can understand her New York accent.
I've been to Portillo's a lot, so I know that they understand me. Love Portillo's. The Italian beef sandwich and the milkshake and the fries is perfection.
Okay.
We should go to Portillo's.
We know what we're doing, I guess, next week.
Put that on the agenda.
If you guys are looking
there is
for
a Portillo's very close to our hotel, I believe. Isn't there?
Yep. It's the one on I forget where it is, but it's like right there. It's
River North.
It's a really big one in downtown Chicago, right by the McDonald's. That used to be the Rock and Roll McDonald's. I don't know if it's still the Rock and Roll McDonald's.
I don't think so.
Such a shame. It was so much fun as the Rock and Roll McDonald's. I've really gone off on a tangent, guys.
Yeah.
None of this happened when I wasn't hosting.
But let's see how many more times you can say the term Rock and Roll McDonald's, Holly, please.
Right.
It was just so much fun. All right, well, circling back to Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah, you rang?
I've heard of it.
I've been there. So we have a winner of our Taco Showdown.
We sure do.
Local born Condado tacos. Do you want to tell them?
I assume I'm just a good luck charm or something, because I also wrote this story. So I'm very choosy in what I actually write about, and so I figured, local concept. I'll take this one. But look, Contado's just awesome too. So, and clearly they have a lot of fans because As people listening here probably know by now, our showdowns are driven by votes on social media. And so we choose 8 or 9 concepts per category. We put them out there for everybody to read up on, watch a video, and then weigh in on social media. And then we tabulate votes and get finalists. And then the finalists we put up in a final vote, and then we choose a winner. And so our finalists for the Taco Showdown were Torchy's and Condado. And I mean, it was a really interesting race to watch. So we do voting on LinkedIn and on Instagram. And I wasn't paying attention to the Instagram voting, and I was paying attention to LinkedIn. I'm like, man, Torchy's is smoking Condado on LinkedIn. But Condado just has an army of fans on Instagram that showed up and put it over the edge. So congratulations to Condado. If you don't know, they are based here in Columbus, but they're in, I think, 7 or 8 states now. They've got 40 plus locations, full service concept. Fun, funky vibe, some kind of off the wall flavors, great margaritas. It's a very cool concept. By the way, all of our taco brands in the showdown also awesome. So certainly no judgment of anybody else who did not win the Taco Showdown. Just to say, according to the fans on social media, Condado was the winner.
Well, so I went to
Also,
Condado
hey-
when I was in Columbus, and it was delicious.
We were there together. It's great.
Well, you left early.
I did. I didn't want to spend any more time with you.
It was enough. It was while I was there for White Castle, our Neil Award-winning
welcome.
piece.
Neil Award winning. That's right.
So Condado was delicious. And then while the Taco Showdown was going on, I was actually out in Philadelphia, and we went to a bar taco for the first time. And so I got to experience bar taco, and I was like, I know that my mom was like, I need a drink. And we were in a mall, and there was a bar taco there. And I was like, let's go to Bar Taco. I know Bar Taco. And so we went to Bar Taco, and she's like, I could use a drink. And I was like, well, I know they have margaritas because I edited their video, and I have a picture of a margarita in my head from Bar Taco. So we went and we got margaritas at Bar Taco. But their tacos were delicious too. Like really, really good. And I'd never been to a Bar Taco before. So just a
Bar
shout out
Taco's
to
great.
Bar Taco.
Yeah. Lots of good
I
taco
was gonna
concepts out there.
say, word to the wise for future showdown competitors. One of the ways, I mean, I think our top 4 or 5 taco chains all encourage their fans to come vote on social media. So, I mean, if you want to win these showdowns or be a finalist in our showdowns, get more attention, have your fans come vote for you because that's how we end up here talking about you on the podcast.
Are we allowed to preview our next one, Holly? Should we?
Of course we are.
Okay. Well, so in a few weeks, we'll be rolling out our next showdown, and it is barbecue. Yay.
Like the summer.
Barbecue in the summer. Yeah. So we've got 9. I think we've got 9 barbecue concepts that we're lining up. I'll keep those close to the chest, as it were, and not tell you what they are until we release them upon you in a few weeks. So there's that.
There's
Great.
that. And I can't wait to talk about barbecue. I love barbecue. We're grilling tonight. So just all the things. I know, fancy.
I can tell you there will be a Columbus, Ohio-based barbecue chain in there, and
As
I'm
always.
gonna write about it. So listen, maybe we just go for 2 in a row. Come on, Columbus, let's represent.
Please, Columbus, don't show out just for that intention. Just for that comment.
Well,
Don't show out.
there will also be a New York-based barbecue brand. So,
I know the list. I'm well
you
aware.
guys- And there will be Texas-based barbecue, so we'll get Ron pulling it. We should be doing a team competition here. Naturally. Do we have any Kentucky
Naturally.
barbecue in there? Oh man. Okay, anyway, this is getting me thinking. I gotta talk to Alicia about this. Okay, carry on, Holly, do your thing.
I was going to end it. I was going to wrap this thing up. I was going like this
Let's do
in
it.
the corner. You just couldn't see it. Just going, let's
Great.
wrap this thing up.
Let's do it.
We're not doing this, Sam. We're doing this.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Just a little bit lower.
Sorry.
It changes everything. Okay.
Vertical. Got to do it vertically. Wrap it up. Like little circles. Okay.
Yes.
Again, off topic. So what a way to end it. With Sam calling me crazy.
Not the first time. Anyway, go ahead and sign off,
Won't be the
Holly.
last either. All right,
Won't be the
so
last.
I'm going to turn it over to Ron Ruggles, who interviewed Sharif Mityas about, as we talked about, their new pizza jukebox. But thank you guys for joining me today.
Thanks, Holly.
Thanks, Holly.
Sharif, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about Pizza Jukebox.
Well, thanks, Ron. Yes, my name is Sharif Mityas. I have the pleasure of serving as the CEO of Bricks Holdings, which is a multi-brand portfolio group. We have brands like Friendly's restaurants in the Northeast, Orange Leaf, Red Mango, Super Salad, Smoothie Factory Kitchen, and Humble Donuts. And our newest brand that we're launching, Pizza Jukebox. And Pizza Jukebox is a fully automated, robot making, AI powered pizza concept. So, AI can do your homework. It can do your marketing. Ours does actual pizza for our guests.
Something beneficial. That's good.
Exactly.
Pizza Jukebox, it's going to be in a Walmart store, correct?
That is our first one. We've partnered with our friends at Walmart up here in Frisco, just north of Dallas in Texas, and we've taken over a spot. We're going to co-brand it with our Red Mango, one of our other brands. So pizza and smoothies, bowls, frozen yogurt, a little balance between hot and cold, and so it's a fully automated machine. It's a robot arm, takes the crust, puts it in the machine. The pizza actually spins, so jukebox like a record player, puts the sauce. You can choose between freshly sliced pepperoni or sausage or combo. And for our large pizza, 16-inch pizza, 3.5 minutes later, about the time of a song, it'll be ready for our guest. Or we have a personal 7-inch pizza, comes out of the turbo chef 1.5 minutes later.
Robots have been talked about all over the business. How do you, given your background as a chief experience officer at TGI Fridays, among other roles, how do you see robots fitting into the restaurant industry going forward?
Yeah, I think it's been interesting. Folks have thought about automation in different ways in our space, Ron, as you know. And I think there's been a lot of things around shiny objects, around we need to have a server go around, robot server. And I think some of those are a little bit more gimmicky, to be honest with you, than anything else. And then on the flip side, we've had automation in the back of house, right? So Flippy and some of the other folks that those groups are doing with, automated fryers, automated, burger flippers. And they've been a bit hidden though, right? It's been more around the efficiency of the back of house. We believe this is interesting because it creates the opportunity to be still efficient, right? We're creating an automation that handles the making of a pizza, but we're putting some of that theater in front of our guests. And we believe really at this time, and I think I'm the broken record on this, I'm a big believer in the experience. I'm a big believer in creating a reason for folks to get up and go to a restaurant, go out again. And if you can add a little theater, a little interesting experience with that food, we think that's an ideal combination to have for today's guest and a reason to get up off the couch, a reason to come in. And we think automation that kind of balances both the efficiency part of why you would put in automation with the theater part of actually creating something that's unique and differentiated is really the secret sauce.
I've seen mock-ups of the unit next to a Red Mango that will be going. When is it going to open, by the way?
Actually, a month from tomorrow. So June 12th, it'll be live with a grand opening. We'll have a little soft opening. We'll do a friends and family thing for some of our Walmart friends, but we're going to do some big grand opening. First, I think 20 or 30 people in line have a chance to win free pizza for a year. So we're going to make a big splash.
The mock-up I saw, it has a window next to the Red Mango unit. Operationally, how does ordering and watching your pizza being made work?
Yeah, so we're going to have really two opportunities for our guests to order. So they can either come and order from one of our counter servers, our team members, or there'll be kiosks. So you can order right from the digital screen. As soon as it's entered in the POS, if it's a pizza, it goes directly to the machine. So there's no manual input. It goes directly from the POS to the robot arm. Obviously, if you're ordering additional red mango things, a frozen yogurt, you can go get your frozen yogurt, put your toppings on while your pizza's being made. And you kind of basically walk down the counter, watch your pizza being made. Like I said, it's either a minute and a half or 3.5 minutes later. Pizza comes out on your plate in your box, and you can sit and enjoy it there at the corner restaurant or take it home on your way home from Walmart.
What was the genesis of the pizza jukebox idea?
I think for us, again, it was really trying to create something unique in this sea of pizza, right? There's no shortage of places to go get pizza. And when we thought about doing something unique again, something that was differentiated, we looked at an opportunity to use automation, but not just to make the perfect pizza, not to reduce waste, not to just reduce labor. That was not ever the intention. It was to create a different experience. It was to create something different and unique and consumer appealing, right? So to create this energy, this excitement that I want to go and get this. And not just because the pizza is great, which it is, but also to have this show, to have this, wow, look at this AI generated robot making this thing for me, and I get to enjoy it.
I've seen a pizza robot at one of the local kitchen manufacturers. How did you go about creating this concept and the software that goes with it?
Yeah, well, it was really we partnered with a great group, L2F. They're part of the Middleby Innovation Kitchens and group. And so really, when we started really just surveying the landscape of who was out there, what was possible, we really, again, were looking for partners that allowed us to customize our offering, right? We didn't want just something that took like a frozen pizza and put it in an oven and out it popped, right? This is truly, seeing automation at work, what's possible, right? Seeing this robot arm take the crust from the tray, put it in here, put it in this machine, watch the arm slice the pepperoni for you, exactly 45 slices on every pizza. Pre-measured, we can tailor the amount of sauce, the amount of cheese. You can imagine we all gained a little weight testing all the different variations of recipes that we could do with the machine. But getting to that, really customizing that software, and then the AI helping us really understand how do we create an even better recipe? How do we even create a better pizza? And taking input from lots of surveys, lots of different customer feedback that we had during our pilots to be able to really refine this. And the nice thing is we can expand this now going forward, right? We can create different types of pizzas. In fact, my vision is we're going to be able to create personalized pizzas from this going forward with a multitude of toppings. So imagine, Ron, you want to come in and I want a little bit of this. I want a lot more pepperoni. I want not so much sauce. Imagine that customization, trying to get that from a Domino's or a Little Caesars or wherever. But I can actually customize potentially your pizza just for you in the future based on what you like and even the amount of sauce you want and the amount of cheese you want, because each of us likes our pizza a little different.
How does, excuse me, how does Pizza Jukebox fit into the other Brix Holdings brands?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when we think about the other brands, I'll set aside Friendly's because that's kind of the bigger sit down, kind of family restaurant in the Northeast for us. But our other brands are, built for small, quick, frozen yogurt, soup and salad, smoothies. This fits in, right? And I think it's not a surprise. A lot of the portfolio groups out there are doing co-branding sites right now, right? And so for us, it was an opportunity to add kind of what we were obviously more, call it dessert, more, smoothies, frozen yogurt with something that's more substantial from a day part perspective, and really pair pizza and a smoothie or pizza and a frozen yogurt that will allow us to extend where we can put these co-branded units as well, right? So we're thinking not just in Walmarts, obviously, but college campuses and stadiums and other areas that, people will want quick, great pizza, frozen yogurt, smoothies, etc.
And you said the time between when people order it and when they get the pizza delivered to their hands is how long?
For the large pizza, it's about 3.5 minutes, and the small one, a little under 2 minutes.
That's pretty amazing. Instant
It's very fast.
gratification.
Yes, that's right. Well, and the beauty part about automation, again, it's consistent, right? So if you like that pizza and you want it again, you don't want to do any alterations, you know it's exactly going to be the same every single time.
Well, you really have insights into how people are using robots. What other applications do you foresee on the horizon?
Yeah, again, I think there's going to be a lot more automation in the back of house, no question, right? And just in terms of what's going on with, margins in the back of house and labor and cost of goods sold, every penny of waste is a big deal, Ron, as you know, right? And so again, if I know that exactly the amount of sauce and the amount of cheese and the amount of pepperoni and the amount of anything that needs to go into a recipe, and I can automate that and basically take my waste almost to zero, that's a big deal, right? Forgetting even a labor advantages of having automation, there's advantages in waste. There's advantages in consistency from guest experience, like I mentioned. So I believe there's going to be a lot more automation in the back of house coming up across the board in both full service and QSR restaurants. I mean, you're seeing our friends at the salad company automating their back of house kitchen, right? So I think that is going to continue. We're looking at it for other brands in terms of how we can automate some other things, smoothies, for instance, right? There's ways to automate the manufacturing of a smoothie and having all the ingredients there and just having basically the machine pull the right amounts, exactly the right amounts to make 8 different kinds of smoothies. That's a no-brainer in my perspective, and I think you're going to see that more and more going forward.
Sharif, what question did I not ask you that you'd like to answer about Pizza Jukebox or Bricks Holdings in general?
Well, I'm a big fan of talking about kind of growth, and especially in our sector. And what I love to see, and is not just us growing, but I think the whole sector is kind of coming back, which is great. And I love that we're all looking at technology in new and different ways, right? I think the pandemic obviously accelerated everyone's tech investments, but that was how to get products out to people, right? So it was, how do you get more virtual brands, third-party delivery? How do you get more people through digital sales? I think what you're going to start to see now is more technology that's driving in-restaurant experiences, in-restaurant dining, and how to make that better and more just joyful for guests to come out and enjoy not just great food, but a great personalized experience. And the technology that's out there, that's coming, that I see, I think it's going to be pretty remarkable what happens over the next several years.
Is there a music aspect to Pizza Jukebox?
There is. So there will be. We're still trying to figure out the timing because not every song is 3.5 minutes, Ron. So we got to figure out what playlist we can tie to the pizza. But we're working on that.
Great. Well, Sharif, thanks a lot for your time today. I appreciate it. And thanks for joining us on Extra Serving.
Thanks for having me, Ron.